Translator, Dark Angel. Editor, Kurisu. At daybreak, the Imperial Guards came riding up to the academy to seize Feng Yan, yet he met them head-on and refused to be taken. The commotion swelled until it shook even Lian Guangzu. With his full weight cast behind Feng Yan, he drove the Imperial Guards out and expelled them from the academy grounds. Whether it had been the Third Imperial Prince's command or Lady Yan's grievance that brought the guards today to apprehend Feng Yan, it was easy enough to guess. After all, just yesterday, Feng Yan had committed a grave offense against those two lofty figures. And yet Feng Yan was so wildly audacious as to resist arrest, and Lian Guangzu actually sheltered him without reservation. The shock of it was so great that no one could bring themselves to believe it. Where had Feng Yan found such nerve? And why would Lian Guangzu shield him to the point of not caring that he was standing against the imperial family? Since neither Feng Yan nor Lian Guangzu uttered a single explanation, the crowd could only indulge in reckless speculation. Could it be that Feng Yan was Lian Guangzu's illegitimate son? In barely half a day, this kind of rumor had already spread through every corner of the academy. After that, Feng Luo even posted a warrant calling for all evidence that could prove Ling Han's crimes and misdeeds. Whoever volunteered information would be rewarded. Liu Yutong and Li Xichan still did not know what had happened last night, so both were bewildered and furious. Is this Feng Luo a cockroach or something? He's obviously nothing but trash, yet he can always wriggle around and frolic. Ling Han was also left speechless. Feng Luo had plainly been expelled from the academy, yet in the blink of an eye, he had been enrolled again. That's because of Feng Yan, Liu Yutong pointed out. Who exactly has this fellow latched onto that even old man Lian would protect him to this extent? Ling Han said, utterly unable to comprehend. Even if he really were the old man's illegitimate son, he shouldn't be doted on like this. Liu Yutong and Li Xichan both rolled their eyes at him. Only Ling Han would dare speak of a spiritual pedestal tier elite in such a tone. Now, Feng Luo is declaring he'll gather proof of your misdeeds. He's clearly trying to humiliate you, Li Xichan said. Feng Luo held no official post in government. Any proof he gathered would have no validity at all, so his plan was simply to disgrace Ling Han and smear his name with dishonor. Ling Han rubbed his nose and said, "Looks like Feng Yan truly regards me as important. Not only does he want me dead, he wants me crushed completely, dragged down from grace." Both Liu Yutong and Li Xichan knit their brows. With Lian Guangzu covering Feng Yan, even the Rain Emperor would have to give him some face. Thus, so long as Feng Yan did not openly violate the Empire's laws, such as murdering people in the streets of the Imperial City, he could still swagger as a tyrant, and it would be overlooked. Ling Han could do the same as well. With two great alchemy bosses standing behind him, in truth, he had even more confidence in acting so than Feng Yan did. But it was plain that Lian Guangzu was not Feng Yan's true main backing. Feng Yan's support should come from outside Rain Country. Ling Han said at the end, his tone firm with certainty. Feng Yan had once boasted that after 3 months he would be able to kill Ling Han in public. What did that imply? It meant he did not even care about the Rain Emperor's authority. Rain Country had a powerful flower-blooming tier warrior overseeing it, yet Feng Yan dared ignore the Rain Country imperial family. So the patron behind him had to be at least flower-blossoming tier. And within Rain Country, aside from that mysterious member of the imperial family, there was no other person at such a cultivation level. Ling Han stroked his chin. Should he go obtain the license of an Earth-grade alchemist? If he carried the status of an Earth-grade alchemist, even spiritual infant-tier powerhouses would have to treat him with courtesy, let alone a mere flower-blossoming tier martial artist. However, the highest license Rain Country could grant was Black-grade high level, because there was no alchemist above that. Thus, there was no one capable of bearing witness to his ability. For now, Black-grade high level should be enough. I believe even a flower-blossoming tier elite would still have to give them face, Ling Han thought. If he possessed an alchemist's status as protection, then at least no one would dare oppose him openly. I never planned to return to the alchemy path in this life, but who told me to be so eye-catching that I've already drawn great trouble at mere element gathering tier? He let out a sigh, yet his face remained indifferent and unconcerned. In his last life, he had been a peak heaven tier warrior. In the final stretch of that life, he had roamed countless perilous ancient sites, meeting dangers 100 times more severe than what stood before him now. Even so, he had still survived all the way until today. As for Feng Yan, he would be nothing more than a small bump on Ling Han's road to maturity. There were only a few matters Ling Han truly cared about now. The first was that mysterious black tower. The second was the spirit base within Hu Niu's Dantian that had actually assumed the form of a peerless beauty who could even open her eyes. And the third was what his 4 disciples had encountered. That Feng Luo is far too despicable. He's obviously vile to the bone. I'll ask Master to take action and expel him. I refuse to believe Master Lian will insist on taking him back into the martial arts department, Li Chan said. Unwilling to swallow this, Ling Han threw back his head and laughed, saying, "No need, no need. I want to see what tricks these 2 brothers can come up with." Since Feng Yan wanted him dead, Ling Han had no reason to hold back. Once he had gathered enough strength, he would certainly kill Feng Yan and his brother. And there was also Hubo, who had dared slaughter so many at the Ling clan residence. How could Ling Han spare him after such an offense? Aside from those 3, there was also Chen Yunxiang. It was about time to settle accounts with that old man. Ling Han turned to Lu Yutong and asked, "What kind of business does the Chen clan run?" "Clothing," Lu Yutong answered at once. Clearly, she had already investigated and still carried guilt over how she had failed to deal with Chen Yunxiang before. "Do something for me. In front of every Chen clan shop, open a clothing store and sell goods at 10% below cost," Ling Han said, handing Lu Yutong some money. Lu Yutong immediately understood his intent. He meant to strike the Chen clan down financially. The reason Chen Yunxiang had succeeded time and again was that the Chen clan's wealth let him hire Earth and Water faction members to help him kidnap little girls. If he lost all that wealth, then the Sun clan would only deign to grant him safety. "All right, I know what to do," she nodded. "However, this could turn into a bottomless pit. Are you sure you want to burn your money like this?" Ling Han smiled and said, "Don't worry. Money is not a problem for me." For a high-ranking alchemist, money was naturally no issue. He only needed to refine a few black-grade high-level pills, and it was guaranteed people would fight over them. Only then did Lu Yutong finally feel relieved. She was about to say something else when she suddenly wrinkled her nose and drew in a deep breath, then asked, "Why is there female fragrance here?" "Oh, I just took in 2 homeless girls," Ling Han said casually. "En?" Lu Yutong and Li Chan exchanged a look, then both put on vigilant expressions. In unison, they asked, "Where are they? Yi, since when had they become so coordinated?" "Greetings, ladies." Lu Feng-er and her sister walked out together. With 4 great beauties gathered in one place, the whole house seemed noticeably brighter. The 4 girls chatted without pause, and before long, Ling Han was bored by their conversation. He stepped out, and Shu Hu Niu suddenly darted out from somewhere and latched onto him. She clung to his body and swung back and forth like a little monkey. "Play! Play!" The little girl kept waving Ling Han's arm, her face full of pleading. "All right, let's go play." Ling Han laughed loudly. He had just stepped outside and was about to leave when he saw a young man approaching. The moment the youth saw Ling Han, he immediately bowed with deep respect and greeted, "Ju Ju hereby pays respect to Master." Translator, Dark Angel. Kurisu. Ling Han swept his gaze across him, yet could not help knitting his brows as he said, "Only the 8th layer of element gathering tier? Your progress is a little too sluggish." Zhu Wuju's face could not help but twitch. It had only been a little over 10 days, and he had already leapt straight from the late period of the 7th layer of element gathering tier to the peak period, and even forced his way through to the 8th layer of element gathering tier. This was enough to make his heart swell with delight, and it finally made him believe Ling Han's words, that Ling Han truly could help him surpass Nangongji within half a year. He craved greater strength. On the one hand, he wished to avenge his beloved. On the other, the hunger for power was carved into the marrow and blood of every martial artist from the very beginning. Thus, the moment he broke through to the 8th layer of element gathering tier, he went to seek out Ling Han. If he had not first broken through, he would have been too ashamed to show his face before Ling Han. Yet he had never imagined that Ling Han would still look at him with displeasure for being too slow. Aye, you possess the Silver Moon Constitution. The first time you cultivate the Silver Moon arts, you should have felt your bloodline erupt in a sudden surge, spurring a spike-like leap in your cultivation. But you've only advanced a little. Looks like your bloodline isn't very pure. Ling Han shook his head, his expression carrying a trace of disappointment. But when he thought about it, this was actually entirely normal. After all, the Silver Moon race had long been rumored to have been wiped out completely, so Zhu Wuju's bloodline could not possibly be very pure. Who knew? Perhaps it was a recessive gene that allowed the bloodline to surface in him, while both of his parents might very well have possessed only ordinary constitutions. Take this. Break through to Gushing Spring Tier within 1 month. If you can't, then there's no need to come see me again. Ling Han flicked a pill bottle toward him. Inside that bottle were 10 ancient clear pills. Break through to Gushing Spring Tier in 1 single month? Zhu Wuju's heart jolted in shock. How could that be possible? He was confident he could break through to the 9th layer of Element Gathering Tier within a month, perhaps even reach the peak period of the 9th layer, but to step into Gushing Spring Tier? That required transforming his origin nucleus into a gushing spring of origin power, and demanded sufficient comprehension and understanding of his cultivation. To spend even 3 to 5 years, 8 or 10 years even, and successfully break through was already considered quite good. But 1 month? Just look. Huyang Academy had so many disciples, but how many of them were truly in Gushing Spring Tier? Less than 100, and the majority of those people were over 25 years old. But if he failed to break through to Gushing Spring Tier in 1 month, then he wouldn't even be qualified to serve as Ling Han's subordinate. Immediately, a fierce tide of rebelliousness surged up within Zhu Wuju. If it were anyone else, wouldn't they have died of happiness after seizing such a chance to regain freedom? But Zhu Wuju was a man of his word, and he had his pride as well. To be looked down upon, even for the lowly position of a subordinate, how could he still have face, in the days to come, to stand tall and walk with a straight back beneath heaven? All right, within 1 month, I will definitely break through to Gushing Spring Tier. He forced the words out through clenched teeth. Go on. Ling Han waved him off. Zhu Wuju turned and left. Behind him, Ling Han smiled. With his alchemical pills and with the deliberate provocation just now, this foolish boy of the Silver Moon race ought to be able to break through to Gushing Spring Tier within a month, right? Play? Hu Niu tugged at his hand, looking extremely displeased. All right, let's go play. Ling Han brought Hu Niu out of the academy. They wandered through the Imperial City once, and on the way he paid a visit to the Cherishing Flower Pavilion. Why are you here? After the servants reported it, Yun Shuang quickly appeared before him. Ling Han shook his head and asked, Have you been beaten or scolded by someone, that you're venting your anger on me? You're the one who's been beaten up, Yun Shuang snapped irritably.
She was furious that Ling Han always looked so calm and unruffled. Though she hated the way others stared at her with perverted eyes, as a beautiful woman she naturally had her own pride. Yet when Ling Han looked at her, it was as though he was looking at air. Of course, she would be extremely displeased by this, and whenever she laid eyes on this youth, she would feel the urge to grind her teeth. Here, this is the permanent pill that was promised to Lady Yan. Take it. Ling Han produced a jade bottle and set it on the table. It's already refined? Yun Shuang immediately asked, delight flooding her, no longer bothering to keep up her quarrelsome act. An alchemical pill of this level, would it still require a few days of preparation before even beginning the refining? Ling Han clicked his tongue. Yun Shuang could not help but grow suspicious. Even 2 great bosses of alchemy like Fu Yuansheng and Wu Songlin had shaken their heads at this permanent pill, yet after only 1 night, Ling Han had already brought the finished pill. Could he be lying? I can't be bothered to talk too long with a silly little girl like you. Just hand the pill over to Lady Yan. I'm leaving. Ling Han scooped up Hu Niu. The little girl had played too wildly and was worn out. She had already fallen fast asleep. Silly little girl? Yun Shuang almost turned into a vicious hag and pounced on him. This brat had to be blind. Couldn't he see her alluring figure and those curves? What kind of silly little girl had you ever seen who had such prominent breasts and such a raised behind like hers? And you're a silly boy who's still wet behind the ears, she shot back. Bye, silly little girl, Ling Han waved at her, then strode out. Why, Yaya, I'm going to die from fury. Yun Shuang stomped her feet in anger, but after a while she muttered to herself, real or fake? I'll let Milady take a look first. She hurried into a courtyard in the deepest part of the Cherishing Flower Pavilion. If there was nothing demanding her attention, Lady Yan would usually be there. Milady. She stepped into the courtyard and knocked lightly on the door. Come in. Lady Yan's voice drifted out from within, sounding weary and helpless. Yun Shuang pushed the door open and entered. What she stepped into was a bedroom. Lady Yan was sitting at the bedside, while upon the bed lay a delicate, handsome youth who looked to be only 15 or 16 years old. The youth's features actually resembled Lady Yan's by 40 to 50%. Lady Yan, Ling Han, came just now and delivered the permanent pill, Yun Shuang said softly, though she knew that no matter how loudly she spoke, she would not be able to awaken that sleeping youth. What? Lady Yan suddenly sprang to her feet, her face full of shock. This is the permanent pill that Ling Han brought over. Yun Shuang took out the pill bottle Ling Han had given her. Though she was highly doubtful about whether it was genuine, she did not dare speak out of turn, leaving it for Lady Yan to judge. Lady Yan stretched out her hand and took the pill bottle. Because she was too excited, her hands trembled uncontrollably. Last night, she had only just caught sight of a slender thread of hope. Yet she had never imagined that this thread would become reality today. It wasn't that she hadn't thought about the possibility that the pill might be fake, but before such towering hope, she chose to ignore that possibility. She opened the bottle, and within lay only 3 pills. They were yellowish red and carried a fragrance that was both sweet and bitter. This color and scent matched what Master Yang Jun described. Her excitement surged even higher. She looked at the youth sleeping on the bed, grit her teeth, and said, Shuang, bring me some water. Yun Shuang knew Lady Yan had already made her choice, so she hurried to pour a cup of clear water and brought it over. Lady Yan pried open the youth's teeth and squeezed in a permanent pill. At the same time, Yun Shuang moved close with the cup. She tilted it, and the pill was washed down into the youth's body with the water. The 2 women stared at the youth in anxious suspense, and after only a short while, the youth's eyelids actually twitched. Shuang, did you see? Did you see? Lady Yan asked in a trembling voice. Yes, milady, I saw it. Yun Shuang nodded quickly. 10 years! 10 years! Tears streamed down Lady Yan's cheeks. Tian'er can finally wake up. Congratulations, milady. Yun Shuang beamed broadly.